Hey there guys, Portalmaster here, and today I am back with another one of my Portalmaster Ranks series videos. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. So far I have ranked the Portals of Power, the games based off my nostalgia, I've ranked the Giants, I've ranked the Swap Force, and I've ranked the Light Cores, and it feels like every single video has been getting longer and longer, and I've been ranking more and more Skylanders. Well, today we're going to take a step back, and we're only going to be looking at 4 characters today, but I am still going to be ranking them, and those are the guest stars. So as you know, that's a very short list. It just consists of HammerSlam Bowser, Turbocharged Donkey Kong, Neocortex, and Crash Bandicoot. But nonetheless, these are some very cool characters, and I wanted to do a specific ranking video and talk a little bit about each one. So let's strap in and talk about number 4. To be honest, I think this is a more or less universally agreed on number 4, and that is Dr. Neocortex. Honestly, Neocortex isn't even that bad of a character. He, to me, just suffers from a power issue. He does not have enough power. It's not that he's not a well-designed character. He has his little ray gun that he can shoot at people and deal damage, much like a, just a little pew 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 pew. It's fun to do. His second ability is essentially to create like a push almost with an Uka Uka mask, and I think it's really cool theming, and I think that it's a really interesting way to have the character work, but ultimately there's just not enough firepower behind it for it to really be a very impactful move. The third move that he has is to summon his little hoverboard, and ultimately the hoverboard is just kind of unintuitive. It reeks of the Skylanders Spyro's Adventure design, where having a character fly was considered to be a third attack move. I get there are different interactions you can do with this, but ultimately it's just not what we expect from a Skylanders Imaginator's character, I think. He seems really primitive to me. A lot of people may fight me on this, but I definitely think that as the time went on, the later Skylanders were clearly more refined and more well-polished than some of the original characters, and I think that Neocortex is one of those characters that just seems out of place. He is not up to par with the rest of the Imaginator senseis, and ultimately that's why he has to come in at number 4. He's probably a bottom-tier sensei anyway. I would put him probably in the bottom 4th of all the senseis. Ultimately, Cortex just isn't it for me, and that's why he's number 4 of the guest stars. Okay, number 3, I also think most people will agree with me on this video that the bottom 2 belong in the bottom and the top 2 belong in the top. They may disagree on the ordering of them, but of course it is Turbocharged Donkey Kong. Honestly, Turbocharged Donkey Kong is actually a really, really cool little figure. I love a lot of the Superchargers figures, to be honest. I think that one thing for sure is that as the games went on, the figures got better, and Turbocharged Donkey Kong definitely feels like a more modern character, whereas Cortex's design was definitely more simplistic if we're talking about just the figures themselves. But talking more about the characters, my issue with Donkey Kong is just that it's not as innovative as it could have been for the character. If we look at HammerSlam Bowser, which is the obvious comparison, they took a beloved Nintendo character and really made him feel like a Skylander, and I don't know that they did that so much with Donkey Kong. He does still feel and play like a Skylander, but they definitely took fewer creative liberties on Turbocharged Donkey Kong than they did on HammerSlam Bowser. For instance, his main attack is literally just punching people, like dealing melee attacks, and his secondary ability is just throwing his barrels. Honestly, not super duper intuitive. As you level him up, he does unlock the ability to bang on his little bongos, and eventually he can even summon Diddy Kong, which is probably the coolest thing entirely about Turbocharged Donkey Kong's character, but ultimately it's just lacking for me. There's so much they could have done with him that they missed out on. Moving to number 2, we have the other Nintendo guest star, which is HammerSlam Bowser. Honestly, it was kind of difficult for me to decide if I thought HammerSlam Bowser was better than Crash Bandicoot. Ultimately, I think that HammerSlam Bowser was a better take on the Nintendo characters, for sure, than Donkey Kong was. His ability to summon Koopas is honestly so inventive, and the fact that he can summon them and have them, help him in combat is amazing. It makes him feel like the king of the Koopas, basically. It's a really, really interesting interesting design. His hammer is so fun to play with and swing around and just wreak havoc. He's like maybe even a larger version of Rebel Rouser. Ultimately, I think he's probably the best representation of a hammer-wielding Skylander, maybe other than Crusher. Crusher is definitely, more fun to play with as like the giant, hammer kind of thing, but I enjoy, I think, Hammer Slam Bowser even more so than that. I think that he is a really great adaptation. His lava form is immaculate. It is an amazing adaptation of the character, and both of his paths are really fun. Although the lava one is definitely more my speed, the Koopa path that you can take with him where you can summon the Paratroopas is such a cool thing. Like, who would have thought we'd have ever seen that in Skylanders? Ultimately, I think that he is one of the most innovative and unique Skylanders no matter what, but ultimately there are a couple of reasons that he falls behind number one, which is, as you guessed it, Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot had to be my number one in the end. I don't know why there was as big of a debate as there was. I mentioned this in my Swap Force ranking video, but I tend to believe that Crash Bandicoot is the evolution of Night Shift. And the reason that I say that is because he takes the live system that Night Shift had and makes it even cooler, makes it even more fun to play with. Overall, Crash Bandicoot is a blast to play with. From his spin kicks to his uppercut kick to being able to summon crates, it's so fun. He also has Aku Aku, which is so fun to play with and even can grant him bonuses if you take that particular path. The live system is amazing and I love his crates. The crates just make the character for me. It's such a hard decision, like I said, between Bowser and between Crash. I actually flip-flopped them around. They're an effective tie for me, but for the purpose of a ranking video, I have to actually pick one over the other. And ultimately, I do particularly pick Crash over Bowser. I think if I had done one thing differently for Crash, I would have made him feel more unique and more like a Skylander. I think that they did a better job of representing Bowser as a Skylander than they did Crash Bandicoot, whereas Crash Bandicoot is a much more true-to-form adaptation, which is probably what they were going for, but ultimately it's kind of hard to compare them in that sense because one of them was trying to be true to form and the other was really trying to Skylanderify the character. So it's hard to compare, but ultimately I think that Crash Bandicoot is more fun to play with. Again, so very tough to pick a favorite though. But here's the thing I want to know. Did I just totally screw up the ranking of only 4 characters? Have I trashed your waifu as it is? I know these aren't anime, but you get the idea. I want to know what you guys think. Tell me down in the comments below how you would rank the guest stars. I know it's kind of tough if you don't have the Nintendo characters, but I guess if you don't have the Nintendo characters, tell me why Crash Bandicoot is so much better than Neocortex. Since you only have 2 to compare, it should be super easy for you guys to tell me down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Portalmaster. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will be back next week for another ranking video. I've got a lot of great ideas and suggestions coming into the comments every single day. Every time I make one of these, I've got a whole list of ranking videos I want to make, so I'll, listen to yours and hopefully add it to the list of great ideas I already have. Thank you so much once again, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks again for watching. I just wanted to take some time to thank my generous patrons on Patreon, including APYT Skylanders, OctoBoom, Haley, True Blue Dogemon, Cinderclash, Hypnotic Ocelot, Adrian, and AngryTedC.